Hello, my community, my Sangha. I hope you're doing well today. I hope you enjoy this video. And this is a video that we filmed at Peacock Springs when we went down to see our new land. And while you read, I just want to read a little more. And while you watch, I haven't had coffee yet, I want to read a little more from the Serviceberry. This book is all about reciprocity, which is just a fancy word for realizing there's abundance in the world that we live in, and that we don't have to hoard, and we don't have to feel fear of not being provided for, because everything in this world is provided for. And it starts going into really about gratitude. So she says, if our first response to the receipt of gifts is gratitude, then our second is reciprocity, to give a gift in return. And I know as I cultivate my attitude of gratitude, I definitely feel less worried, about what will happen in the future. She says, we live in a time when every choice matters. Keeping the gift in motion in a way that is open, and so that the gift does not accumulate and stagnate. So it's like that paying it forward. Keeping the gift in motion in a way that is open, so that the gift does not accumulate and stagnate. Materials like carbon and nitrogen and phosphorus, the essential elements of life, cycle through an ecosystem endlessly, changing form as they are passed along. Then she goes on to explain this process. The process of this in the natural world. When the cedar waxwing gobbles it up, some of that carbon becomes the feathers that paint a yellow band on its tail, which flashes in the afternoon light. When that feather falls to the ground, it becomes food for beetles. So then she goes on to explain this, even in regards to the Serviceberry that she's actively picking. The gift of the atmosphere now resides in the berry. When the cedar waxwing gobbles it up, some of that carbon becomes the feathers that paint a yellow band on its tail, which flashes in the afternoon light. When the feather falls to the ground, it becomes food for beetles, who become food for a vole, whose death feeds the soil, who feeds the serviceberry seedling, just germinating at the edge of the woods. Materials move through ecosystems in a circular economy and are constantly transformed. Abundance is created by recycling, by reciprocity. The juice that burst from these berries was rained just last week and is already on its way back to the clouds. These processes are the models for principles of a circular economy in which there is no such thing as waste, only starting materials. Abundance is fueled by constantly circulating materials, not wasting them. That's a powerful message. Then she goes on to speak about energy. Energy is very different. Energy flows in one inevitable direction. Even though it can be temporarily stored, it always moves on, thanks to the law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot ever be completely recycled. It gets used up in the thermodynamic inefficiency of energy transfer among beings. Therefore, energy must be constantly replenished to fuel the flow. I suppose in an industrial economy, production is the source of the flow, rooted in human labor and the conversion of earthly gifts to commodities. But so often that production is at the cost of great destruction. When an economic system actively destroys what we love, isn't it time for a different system? Gift giving is among the most primal of human relationships. Each of us begins our life as the recipient in what is called a maternal gift economy, the flow of goods and services, just like from mother to newborn. Mothers do not sell their milk to their babies. It's a pure gift so that life can continue. The currency of this economy is the flow of gratitude, the flow of love, literally in support of life. By analogy, can the sustenance from the breast of Mother Earth be understood as a material gift economy? Giving and taking, in this sense, are a fundamental way of caring for one another. I just love how everything I'm reading right now lines up with selfless acts and giving back and being grateful, even from the air that I breathe, And this message is coming in every part of my life, like not just one book. And it even comes up in church, just yesterday. The woman that spoke, we don't have a preacher, people of the congregation just share, and these were actually light workers that visited from a different church. And she is like, we just don't even realize, just when we sit down for one meal, all the different people involved in creating that meal, just eat and don't even think. But I've realized, as I've walked the spiritual journey and I cultivate that attitude of gratitude, it's just amazing the changes I'm seeing happening internally and externally. So I wanted to share the beauty with y'all in this book. The book is called The Serviceberry: Abundance and Reciprocity in the Natural World. You have to buy it. It's a quick read. It's a beautiful read, and it's a lot of food for thought. With that said, thank you for being here and supporting. Namaste.